Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, the best there is, best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Hey folks, welcome to the Smacked Raw podcast, your one-stop shop for all your WWE and AEW reviews, recaps, pay-per-view predictions. Like always, it's Kyle here. Joining me on this stream, as you can see, is Mr. Vince. What's up, Vince?
Yo, what it do? What's up, guys?
Not much, man. You guys, we are a pro wrestling podcast. If this is your first time listening to us, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Podbean, iTunes, and Google Play Music, along with YouTube. Make sure to hop over there, hit like and subscribe for us. Help us get to 100 subscribers. And then last plug of the day is you can find us on Twitter at SmackDrawPod, myself at The Kai Tai Show, and then Vince, you go ahead and plug yourself, man.
Yeah, you can guys find me on all social medias at SCS Vince. Anywhere you search it up, I'm probably there.
Nice. Here to talk about Monday Night Raw. It is in the books. What a hot cold episode.
That's one way to put it. It was an interesting show, to say the least. It started off pretty hot with the opening segment, and by the closing segment, it kind of like it fell flat on its face, to be honest.
Oh man, that was.
Here's the thing. I think you and I have both kind of been in the minority where we've kind of been enjoying the Rusev angle just because it's been so bad it's good in that kind of way. But I think
we might be crossing bad that it's bad.
I think so. You know how like in TV shows they always have that saying like, did it jump the shark? So I think last night the Rusev angle jumped the shark for me, because like the motivation for the split, kind of like they had like three different motivations. At first it was that Rusev didn't pay attention to Lana. Then last night Lana's like, Rusev's a sex addict. Then
it wasn't like, he wouldn't spend enough money on her.
Yeah, and then like the last thing is like the reason why I did this because Bobby Lashley said you cheated on me.
Bobby Lashley said it. I'm not guilty. Oh my God,
yeah,
so stupid.
I mean,
it distracted from a good episode of Raw. That's the thing.
I mean, Kyle, you're a married man, right? I mean, how would you take, like, would your wife really believe some random guy that she works with saying, yeah, Kyle cheated on you? I'm like, no, she tried to like confront you about it first.
Oh,
it was more like Lana was looking for a reason to leave.
Oh my God. It did feel like it was so thrown in there. Like, and Rusev cheated on me. Like, what? Just.
No, legit, honestly, it felt like if we're talking about like outside of the context of like kayfabe and stuff, it really just came off as like Lana making up reasons to justify her cheating on Rusev. And I gotta say, man, I'm sorry, but Rusev looked like a total dingus last night. Like he came out smiling, doing like a Bob Barker type wave. He's trying to like he's on some kind of game show. He's over here smiling, and then it's.
I think Vince McMahon is just assassinating Rusev. Rusev did something. And
no, man.
This is that
here's
power
the thing, man. I'm like, as much as praise we give Paul Heyman, he's notorious for these kind of storylines in ECW, SmackDown. I don't know if he was still like the lead guy during SmackDown, but SmackDown had the whole Tori Wilson's dad angle, and I'm pretty sure Paul Heyman was still around during that time.
Her dad had a heart attack while they were consummating. Oh my gosh.
Okay, but I think we're jumping ahead to the end of the show.
Why don't we just skip all of Monday Night Raw? That's the show, folks.
That's the gist of it. That's all you really need to know. There was a lot of great wrestling, but it was shit. I don't know what that giant turd of a closing segment.
Oh man, Raw was. You know what? In my opinion, Raw was pretty good, especially given it was a go home show. It definitely had some holes in it, but the ending really distracted from like anything that you may have remembered walking away from Raw. Was completely scrubbed clean by their just off the wall ending. But let's get into it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Raw this week kicked off from St. Louis, Missouri. We got Paige making her not in ring, but just her return in general. We haven't seen her in the last couple months. I think she just had a neck surgery as well, her second one, if I believe. But she comes out to once again introduce the Kabuki Warriors. Paige coming across a little bit, I don't think intentional, but a little bit like she kind of taking credit for the Kabuki Warriors. Like 6 months ago, I introduced you to the Kabuki Warriors. I saw this, so once all three women are in the ring, Paige is continuing to talk and put over the current women tag champs when Asuka snatches the mic, starts cutting a very aggressive promo in Japanese, and Paige wistfully gets the mic back. You can see her lipping like, "This is mine." Just
right. It was more like, "This is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do."
Yeah. Just for Kyrie Sane to obviously do the same thing. Kyrie Sane, I don't know what she's saying, but man, she comes across condescending as hell. Oh my god.
Okay. So the thing that I loved about Kyrie Sane last week, it sounds, she came across like an anime villain to me. Like because like a lot of times, like I'm over here on Funimation or something, I'm watching animes with the Japanese like dub, but like have the subtitles. Like, and sometimes like she just came off as like she's trying to like rule the world or something. And it was like I said, I have no context. I have no idea what they said.
You just connected to what you know. You connected to what it sounds like.
And she, like, they both look more heelish. That like new gear kind of helped. Like Asuka's.
They need to change that music, man. They got to change that mashup. It's so
here's the
bad.
thing. I thought they made strides because when the music started playing, it was the start of Kyrie's theme. But then then they slowly transitioned to like the start of Asuka's theme, and that's when
you had two intros play back to back.
So it was the whole like opening chorus for Kyrie, and then it slowly transitioned to the opening chorus for the Asuka theme. But what I liked about when they did that transition, because the intro to the Asuka theme kind of works as a like transition when you're like kind of like a sound effect, like a record scratch type of thing. And when they were coming out, like Kyrie had her umbrella and she was covering her and Asuka's face, and they didn't reveal themselves until after the actual hook started on Asuka's theme song, and then they started coming down. I was like, okay, this kind of works. Maybe if you just keep it like that, that might work. But then they got halfway through the ramp and they went back.
Go back to Kyrie Sane's music. Yeah.
So that's the weird one thing. Kabuki Warriors have slowly been like tweaked one step at a time, and they've been even better for it. But going back to like you were saying, like Kyrie was talking in Japanese. She cut like a very condescending promo.
Yeah, is what it came across to me. Paige gets the mic back or goes for the mic. She kind of can kind of sense the tension in the air before any beats could be taken. Asuka hits Paige with the green mist. Paige, you can hear audibly saying she can't see. She rolls out the ring. I get that Paige can't take a bump following neck surgery, but it wouldn't have, like maybe like a fall, like a strike to her stomach or something where there's no impact going to her back, and you can pull it just to at least look like you attack Paige a little bit more than just, the green mist in the eyes. Right. But I get WWE. They don't want to take chances.
So granted, yes, I'm all for a person's safety. I don't want anyone to like risk anything, especially with Edge. Like Edge is like a similar situation. I never want him to risk anything. But even he, like after his retirement, he kind of did like a whole spot where like he was almost getting concertoed. Oh no, he was about to get curb stopped by Seth. And that's
what Seth said. He was gonna kill him. He said, I remember that. He's like, screw it, I'm gonna kill him anyways. I was like, dang, Seth. Like, this is a wrestling show.
That was I missed that, Seth. That was prime Seth for me. But so like you were saying, like Asuka could easily do like a spin kick to the gut, and then she just sells it and then rolls out the ring. Or at the very least, you're getting attacked with the mist, fall down to the ground, like oversell it, like, oh, like this is physically hurting your eye. Kind of like you get pepper spray. If you get pepper spray, you're not like, oh, my eyes, you're legit gonna like overreact about it.
It was more like someone spilt like juice on her dress at senior prom reaction. Yeah. Like just, oh my god. It just
like, I need some water. I need some water. Like the acting on Paige's part was just like the worst. And then she's on the outside, and then Asuka slowly creeping up to her.
Because she
like,
knows how to
stay
act
away.
like getting beat up, not
Yeah,
spit
stay
on.
away, stay away, stay away.
No,
Oh my,
so silly. But I
Oh
mean,
my.
it is, you know, WWE's got their rules. They got to work with what they got.
Yeah.
This Becky Lynch. This prompted Becky Lynch to come out. She's had previous run-ins with the Kabuki Warriors. I guess they. It was like 3 weeks prior. Well, Becky pinned, right? Becky got the pin. I can't remember.
No, it was her and Charlotte and Kyrie actually pinned Becky Lynch.
That's right. Yeah, they beat Lynch and Charlotte in a tag match 3 weeks prior. Yeah,
and that was a key point that commentary was making, is that like Becky Lynch has history with Asuka, and then 3 weeks ago she's trying to make right the wrong that she lost to Kyrie, and they were kind of putting over Kyrie here in this match. Like you were saying, it led to like Kyrie Sane versus Becky Lynch, and they were putting her over on commentary, saying that she's one of the few people this past year to actually pick up a win against Becky Lynch and actually pin her.
Yeah, that's true.
They said that one of the other people that have pinned her partner, Asuka. So like they put them both over, and the match in general, like without like personally, between all the matches, I thought it was the best one.
Yeah, it was decent. The only thing I didn't like about it is Becky ended up getting the win, and she was able to fend off your women's tag champions. You'd think if there's two women that, even if they're not in the same match together, that they have enough teamwork, they could manipulate the champ. But they do this all the time. Whenever you have a world champion facing off against tag champions, one way or another, whether it be in a handicap match or one-on-one, it usually still goes to the world champ, which I've always had an issue with that. Your tag champions should, if you got two champions, that should always be more powerful than one champ, regardless how the belts are, you know. But I mean, like I said, it's a small gripe. The bigger gripe for me was just like, God, I just want King off commentary. I do not need King on Raw anymore. Let him be a at best fond memory of the Attitude Era. But like, I hit you up, man. Like, I audibly was like, what the F in my living room when King was like, oh, when Becky snaps like this, is it called a ginger snap? I'm like, dude, that is you are taking the piss out of your world champion with a regard. Like, I get it if she's a heel champ or something, you know, and you're trying to like mock him, but like, yo, she is the face of the company. Don't be cracking ginger jokes when she's the girl on front of like 2K20. You know, it's, oh God, it's so silly to me. It is so silly that what they will do just to get those cheap jokes in.
I don't know if that's him
man.
personally, or if that's the direction he's being given, or if it's a combination of both.
Oh, he is the really Michael Cole of Raw. I am 100% convinced he's earpieced up. He's just, you know, all of them really are, but I believe he's the main one. He's getting all the main big story beat dry, like in the stupid ass jokes.
I really don't like it. So here's the thing, like you mentioned it to me, and I'm usually like really spot on noticing stuff, and I completely missed it because like at this point I've kind of I tune out commentary for the most part, unless it's like NXT. Like NXT has like some really good commentary. Even AEW, like my God, JR is terrible. He's like the worst. And here's the thing,
I don't even notice it. I don't understand why I do not notice JR, but I pick up on the King so much. I don't know.
Because he tries to like feel some like dead air. He's trying too hard. And it's one of those things where like we were watching 205 because we had to cover it for the show. Yeah. But Dio Madden with Vic Joseph in the combination of Aiden English, I thought they were great together, or someone like Nigel McGuinness was really good together. It's just like I feel like Vic Joseph and Dio Madden are suffering by being there with King. If it wasn't for King, like let's say, like I said, you throw in an Aiden English, or you throw in, I don't know, someone like a Booker T, someone that can like maybe make some more like
Booker would be way better, but you know, it's because of that branding. They need that person that they can earpiece to, like Michael Cole, who's willing to shout out $9.99 like 37 times throughout an episode, and have the same enthusiasm. You know, I imagine that takes a senior trusted talent, and that's why we're always going to have that old guy on the commentary table until Vince is gone, because that is.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think I read somewhere that even King said that he hates being on commentary nowadays.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise
so like
me, man.
if he doesn't want to be there, he's trying to like keep face, and he's
I mean, how many guys have you heard worked in WWE hate their time there, but they're still constant professionals on the way out, you know?
I think just in general, like a lot of like, even if they're not if they're employed currently, or they're trying to stay like keep a open bridge, like keep the door open, they will go ahead, even though they don't believe it, they will go ahead and like just like, oh yeah, you know, like get like WWE's not so bad. Oh, Backstage is not so bad. I'm like, it wasn't like they'll do stuff like that just to like keep doors open, but like you can see like it's not all sunshine and rainbows backstage when it comes to like especially like the announcers, they have to deal with a lot.
There's still reports coming out that backstage morale is diving. Like it's weird because the product arguably is getting better.
Yeah, it is.
But morale apparently is still being talked about at being at a big low. I don't really got much more on that other than that's what I've been seeing clip bits of. You know, it's hard to keep up with all the wrestling news sometimes.
I mean, he's speaking about morale being low. Like someone that I would imagine had some low morale coming into the main roster was Buddy Murphy, because he was drafted to SmackDown during the Superstar Shakeup, wasn't used, but he's over here being featured promptly on Monday Night Raw. Even called Monday Night Raw the new land of opportunity for him, because he's going to come in and just like capitalize on that. Because
well, before he even got out. They made it a point that this is more about the 24/7 championship,
which I hated. I hated that.
Yeah, because R-Truth was interviewed by Charlie Caruso, and I finally got an answer on who the damn champion, and it's Saming. Because I get him and Samir. I hate to say it, I get them mixed up. It's
Samir. Samir and Sunil. See, here's the thing. Like
Sunil. That's right. Samir and Sunil.
Okay,
God,
so
I botched his name. Damn it, man.
look okay, honestly, like man, like with them, it's just one of those things where like even with like Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, it took me like a month to figure out who was who.
Yeah, well,
like they don't even look remotely this. It's just one of those things where it's like a tag team you don't see frequently enough, and you're like, wait, hold up.
There was a minute there when I thought Gallows Anderson was just Carl Anderson. And I was like, who's the big guy?
Exactly. So, like, if you don't know who they are, you don't watch certain people, you're not going to know who's who. It's just, it's one of those things. It happens regardless. Like I said, I've been guilty of it. But obviously R-Truth was confused too, because he tried to pin the wrong Singh brother last week. And
that was so good. I love that.
I thought it was an interesting bit that did.
It was the Zoidberg crab walk off frame that got me. But instead of doing the Zoidberg sound effects, they were just saying Bolly, Bolly, Bolly. Oh man, I don't know. It just tickled me. But
I think Bollywood Boys or Singh Brothers or whatever they're going by, I think they're really entertaining. I think they're really good guys.
Yeah, I bet they are, man. They're just giving a bad rap, man. They're in a tough spot, in a tough market. No one here in the States is into Bollywood. Hell, most of us don't even know what Bollywood is. They probably think it's made up by the WWE, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like I think for like a while there, I think Benji was the only one that was like really high on the Bollywood Boys. And then since I was watching 205 Live, I didn't see their stuff, and then I watched a couple of their segments. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're funny. I like them.
Yeah.
Plus they like Eddie Guerrero. So if you like Eddie Guerrero, he's one of my favorites of all time. So if you're a fan of his, can't be that bad of
it. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna get points on that alone.
Yeah, you're gonna get some brownie points from me if you like Eddie Guerrero. So like you were saying, it was mostly about the 24/7 title, because it was a whole interview with R-Truth saying now because there's two of them, I need more. I need someone some extra set of eyes, and he busts out some glasses. Said he got them on sale, and then he's got all four eyes on both of the Singh brothers. And I think shortly after that, I think that's when Buddy Murphy came out, and they started to have the match, and it was solid. It was all right. I just kind of wish it was more of a Buddy Murphy showcase, kind of like what they did for Aleister Black and for Andrade last week, I believe it was when they had those matches. I just kind of wish it was that where it was either a competitive match where you saw what he could do, kind of like his match that he had with Roman, or it was one of those matches where he like almost dominates to the point where it's just a showcase match for him. Yeah, and it was neither. It was a interesting match. It was getting somewhere good, but then Bollywood Boys came out.
Just go get the beats until the mid card runs out. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Just go ahead and just try to hit your beats you're trying to hit, and then Loser Locker Room is gonna come out with like the 24/7 champs. So like that's the whole thing. Like Loser Locker Room came out, they distracted R-Truth. R-Truth they
had a little Benny Hill segment where all of them are just mindlessly running around the ring, and it's not till like you're like watching it, you're like, why don't they just stop?
Exactly. And here's the thing, it's one of those things where it's like I got where they were trying to go for it. Like R-Truth's like literally right behind the Singh brothers. All he has to do is stop, turn around, and he can get them. But it's one of those things, like I think the ref got to the 9 count and R-Truth heard it. He tried to go back into the ring and he walked into like one of those like freaking like, knee strikes
like
from
V-trigger knees from Buddy Murphy. Yeah.
And that was basically the gist of the match. It was like you said, it was mostly about the 24/7 title.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, you're gonna have to get those segments in. I mean, it's at the disparagement of Buddy Murphy. I would like to see on the flip, like I always said the 24/7 championship would have been awesome on Brock Lesnar, just because Brock would kill anybody chasing him, and I still kind of want like similar treatment for it at some point. Get some serious no-nonsense wrestler just to be surrounded by comedy, and for that to make him miserable, and then just beat the piss out of everybody, kind of like a Steve Blackman, or when he had the Hardcore Championship.
The first person that kind of like came to mind for me was damn, I just had his name, I forgot his.
Give me something to work with.
I think Lance
Storm.
Lance Storm, yes, there you go. Because I had the name and I lost the last name. Like Lance Storm seems like
if I could be serious for a minute.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, I get where you're coming from. So it kind of seems like that. I totally get that. Or kind of like Kevin Owens. Like I think like during a certain point, like they would have like some comedy stuff.
Kevin Owens has such an awesome annoyed face.
He's so good. Like Kevin Owens, like one of the best.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, kind of odd that he wasn't on the show, considering that last week he stunned AJ Styles.
Yeah, that could have been just reactionary to the backlash, to the whole like, hey, that was everyone's kind of pooing on that angle. We'll just pull off for because it's they got their Saudi show, they got Crown Jewel. Let's just pull off and let him win that battle royal. Although I don't think Kevin Owens ain't going to go to that, right? He doesn't go because he protests for Sami Zayn.
Yeah, and Sami's not going because he can't go.
He's not allowed to go. Yeah, that's crazy. That's
so
crazy.
Maybe it was that. Maybe it was. But if that's the case, why bring out Kevin Owens last week?
Yeah. I mean,
why don't you bring out? Because like the whole Street Profits, they were saying that they have friends in high places. They could have made like a kind of pun saying that one of the guys that they know gets to high places because he's so athletic in Umberto Carillo. Because if you saw what happened tonight,
Carillo he's a stud, man. He's
something else, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if like I said, I don't know if you listen into the NXT episodes that I be hosting, but man, I be gassing up Angel Garza, his cousin over there.
I'm gonna have to see what's going on with this Garza fella. I've only seen 2 of his matches. He strikes me as like the Hispanic Rick Rude. Just got all the men pissed off, but you got all the women wooing him. And
so it's that. But the one thing that I compared him to, he's kind of have like that Eddie Guerrero Latino heat when he had like China running around with him. Kind of, he has like that whole like Latin lover feel to him, which I freaking love. Yeah. And Beth Phoenix just like loses it for him every time she's on commentary. He has a match. Every time he takes off his breakaway pants, she has a whole moment. I think it's hilarious. And But like I was saying, like I think Umberto would have been a great choice to be the guy that come out and make the save. It highlights him, and it would give him kind of a reason to like set up what we had tonight. And like we were speaking about the Street Profits, I think they were the next segment. They came out and did like an in-ring promo.
Almost there. I
Okay.
mean, now granted, they were the next major segment. We did get note that Bray Wyatt will be making his first appearance on Miz TV since his transformation. So we're actually going to get the Bray Wyatt character in a live talking segment, something that's not pre-taped. So
which I think would be great. I think that's going to be
about
in his
time.
element.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
Has Bray Wyatt, like in his previous incarnations, been on Miz TV? Like I feel like I remember like a segment where
I would
like all
assume
four,
so.
like back when Braun Strowman was a member and it was four of them. I think I remember a segment where he was on Miz TV and the other three members are surrounding him, making Miz very uncomfortable. I don't know if I'm just making that up.
So. I would think so. I mean, I don't remember, but I mean, Miz TV's been around a long time, and you have to have guests on it weekly. At some point, Bray had to have popped up on there.
Probably.
Yeah. But following that, we got AOP, another one of their backstage segments.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
I did notice
great. It was
they
spot
were
on.
going in and out of English. I liked this. Mainly just said the main message here is kind of creating that whole mixed martial arts feel of them. They say it doesn't matter what language you speak, what your discipline is or style, we're going to get you. And it's like, you look at it, it's like, man, how do you compete with AOP? You got them and you got Viking Raiders. Do you think these guys just go at it straight away?
Maybe. I don't know, because like Viking Raiders don't have anything to do, like given what we saw later in the night. I don't know, because like you're trying to build up AOP as this unstoppable team. You just put the titles on Viking Raiders. Maybe it'd be a little too soon, kind of like the Bray Wyatt Seth situation, where like you're building up a character, but you also just put the title on another guy, and you kind of put in a situation where you're gonna have to find your way out of it. I think maybe they attack Street Profits. Maybe they get into it with some other tag team, but I don't know who there is to feud with on Raw that isn't like Street Profits, Viking Raiders, or the OC.
I hope that they don't use a beat the clock challenge with them, because if that is like one of my worst segments. Like I hate, but they usually do it with two powerhouse forces. Is you have them go out there and who can beat the mid card guys the quickest. I could see them doing that here. Now, granted, a lot of stuff has to line up. For one, AOP has to eventually come out. But if they come out, you got to think these guys are going straight for titles. I don't think you have them come out and you have them do the squash matches week in and week out. Maybe like once or twice. But yeah, they'd have to be straight title bound. And I don't see anyone taking that junk off the Viking Raiders. Like, I don't see anybody anytime soon.
I mean, the one team that I would say, like, you can kind of like put them in like a mini like 3 week program with would be people like, I don't know, like New Day or Heavy Machinery, but they're both on SmackDown. So
yeah,
even like people like Lucha House Party, you could put them up there and then like just like attack them. I think what they're gonna do, and I hate to say it because like that's usually what they resort to. They're probably gonna come out. They're gonna squash Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Then they're gonna squash like some other tag
team.
No, B Team's on SmackDown.
They're on SmackDown. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have where did Rude and Ziggler wind up?
SmackDown.
Damn,
yeah.
Who's on Raw? OC.
Street Profits. Here's the thing, the first program might be Street Profits, but like I said, like they're in the thing with the OC, so like they're kind of in a situation where I feel like they have to go after the titles right away. Like there's not even another top tag team to like pair them up with unless they bring back the Hardys.
Well, yeah, but even then, you have all these weeks of vignettes. You don't want them to come out like no one really. I mean, the squash matches happen; they are what they are. But like, that's not how you make a big impact. You know, you have all these vignettes showing how bad these guys are. The best way to strike is have them come out and make a huge impact right out the gate. Have Viking Raiders barely get by the Street Profits or something. Barely get the win. And then have AOP finally make their debut after the Raiders are wore out and just completely demolish them. Have the Raiders beat worse than they've ever been beat before. And then, bam, now you got a fire feud.
So I unfortunately I don't, given like where the pay-per-views line up, the next pay-per-view is Survivor Series. It's in Chicago, so we've been getting some like promotional work, and it looks like it's still gonna be brand versus brand. And if you saw the logo last night, it still had like the red line and then the blue line signifying that it's gonna be brand versus brand.
God dang it, man.
And the one thing they did last year was
the
tag
one
teams
time
versus...
a year when brand to brand goes head to head. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I totally get it. So one of the matches they had was a Survivor Series elimination match between the tag teams, and it looks like AOP, like they're gonna be on that team. It's gonna be them, OC, Street Profits, Hawkins and Ryder, and whoever else is on Raw. And then it's gonna be Viking Raiders taking on maybe the Revival, champions versus champ. I don't think we're actually gonna get AOP in that program for the title, or them winning the titles until after Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So that's why I say if you bring him in, give him something like, so like just hold off on like do the vignettes a little bit longer, even though you can't do them too long.
Yeah.
But they still haven't like hit the point of no return for me. They still do what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So I say maybe like give it another couple weeks, and then you put them in a program like where they come out. They're gonna do a squash match at first. It's gonna happen. I'm calling it now. Then they're gonna attack some other random tag team, lower level tag team on Raw, and from there they'll be in that elimination match at Survivor Series, and then after that it's when they can actually go into Viking Raiders territory. But that's how I see it playing out.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see on that, like anything else. Next up we got the Street Profits. You were just saying, Street Profits came out. This was a little awkward.
Okay, so I love Street Profits, and I don't know.
This?
I don't know what the direction is with them coming through the crowd. I get why they did it last week because it was their debut match. It was their main event in Raw. But if they're gonna just keep coming through the crowd every match, I don't know if I'm okay with that. I feel like it should be like, because in NXT they wouldn't do it all the time. They would do it like for special occasions, especially like during
you know how they are on the main roster. They gotta drive this thing down our throats, man.
Speaking of that, I swear the segment was only meant to get over the phrase "we want the smoke."
Yeah,
literally, because they legit came out and didn't really say much except "we want the smoke." We're ready for all challengers. We took on the LC, but I feel like you could accomplish that same promo backstage, but better. So had they did a backstage segment where they're being interviewed, I feel like you get that point across and get that whole segment done in a much more efficient, better way. But I feel like the only reason they did it is so they could be out in the crowd,
because you saw them waiting, like baiting them, like to get that chant going.
Yeah.
Dawkins was kind of awkward out there, man. Dawkins looked. I think he was fed that line about that chick.
I think they were fed a lot. So here's the thing. It didn't feel like too organic. It felt like they were giving like an outline or a script that they try to follow and try to make best of what they were given, because it didn't feel authentic. Because the line about like, wait, what was that one girl's name?
Yeah, Montez Ford was like, I'm out here, I'm kissing babies. And Dawkins like, kissing babies? I was at the after party with this girl. What was her name? And then they just went, and it seems like so awkward, like so forced.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where like when they were doing their backstage segments, where he like subtly dropped in like he's shooting his shot with Sasha, or he just wants to shoot his shot with Nikki Cross. It's one of those things where, you know, like if you're like around your friends, like male or female, you're like, you know what, I'd shoot my shot. You're like, hey, you know, like. It's like one of those like jokey kind of thing that you're not really serious about, but it's more of a like you're with friends, and it just came out a little bit more charming when he did it backstage, and this felt more like it's forced, more like someone like, oh, so you like to like be like a player, so you like to go out with women and go to nightclubs.
That's your character. That's you now.
Oh my! It's so dumb, and I hate it. It was so
it's
dumb.
Those
like
writers, man. It's those writers. They take the most simplest thing, like, oh, you got this joke over. That's your whole character.
We're gonna ram it to the ground until it's not over anymore.
Yeah. It's like screw depth, you know, screw having like, you know, depth of character. It's like, no, you are this one line now, week in and week out, until we can think of a new line. Yeah. You see it all too often too. You see it all too often. A big moment that's really cool. Look what happened back in the day with Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil had that fall at one of those Crown Jewel events or that Royal Rumble, and then it was so funny. The next he spent the next month or two just being a complete klutz, and they're like, that's just you, Titus. Now you're a klutz. Yeah,
I mean, we had a whole I don't know if you were around for this, but we had a whole gimmick for Natalya where her whole gimmick was that she used to fart. So
I didn't know where that stemmed from. I've always heard of it. I never watched it.
It had no explanation. All of a sudden, it legit just started happening out of nowhere. She oh, I gotta go, and it's the whole thing. We're getting off.
No, I know. I'm just thinking about man. Vince has such terrible maturity.
It's the guy has the sense of humor of a 5-year-old.
I'm telling you.
But so, like I was saying, it was nothing nothing of a segment. Not to disparage anything on Street Profits. They just weren't given anything to work with.
There was no feud set up. You would think, because they made it sound because now the one thing I can say on it is they did come out and they gave out the line we want the smoke, and I was taking that as, okay, this is an open challenge. We got the next feud coming up.
Yeah. Anybody? Yeah, and I think Montez even said it. So he's like, you saw what we did to the OC. We took it to them. So if anybody else wants to step to the Street Profits, you don't want this. You don't want these problems. That's basically the gist of it. The one thing that I'm gonna say right now, and I will hate myself if it comes to pass, but they were saying that we want the smoke line way too much and trying to get over it so much. And WWE and Vince McMahon, especially him, like to go ahead and take that little thing and add something extra on the start of every theme song. I would not be surprised if a couple weeks from now they'll be a recording of them saying we want the smoke, and then their actual
in their
song
music. Either way, it's gonna be rammed down our throat one way or another.
Yeah, Ricochet has the whole sound effects. Iconics have the whole iconic thing at the start. Even Seth Rollins, that one hit the whole burn it down hit, but it's for every good one you have 3 or 4 really cringe ones.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Exactly. Well, I hope for the best for them because they're really talented guys.
Yeah, they really are.
Next up, 2 other talented guys. We get the preview for the Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair match in the form of a rematch between Drew McIntyre and Ricochet. You, of course, have Hogan, Flair, and Hart on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And this match ends up being pretty good. I was kind of put off. I was like, we just saw this, and it kind of. And in the previous match, it did come to a crescendo and came to an end. It's there's nothing more to add here. Where the Sin Cara match, Sin Cara got screwed out. We saw in the McIntyre match last week. Ricochet was brought Mac to his limit, but then lost fairly. So why even bother with a rematch? Exactly. Considering they were saying on that show that he might not even make it to the thing, to the show, right. And now he's fine. So yeah, before the match could get too far underway, you had McIntyre antagonizing Hogan throughout the match, mocking him and stuff. I really thought we were going to get some interference from these guys, but it looks like they're going to hold off till Crown Jewel before Hogan and Flair get their licks in. And just when Ricochet looks like he might be picking up a victory, Randy Orton comes in, of course. We get an RKO out of nowhere, and that was it. And all I could think of is, Team Flair has been there for each other. No one comes out to help Ricochet or any other members of Team Hogan. Nope. Nobody. They get beat down by the heels. They're supposed to be a unit, and they can't be bothered to come out. They're it's not my problem.
On Team Hogan?
So if I remember correctly, you got Ricochet, Ali,
Shorty G,
and Roman Reigns, and then there's one more face.
It's Rusev.
And Rusev. Jeez Louise.
So that explains why, because it would normally be Roman, but because the brand split,
he's on SmackDown.
He's on
along
SmackDown.
with Ali and Shorty G, so Rusev's the only one there, and Rusev got his own stuff tied up.
Yeah, so
You can't have one man in two story roles, unfortunately.
And here's the thing: it would have worked if it was originally Seth, like it was supposed to be, and it was originally going to be Seth, because Seth can come out and he have a whole thing with Randy Orton. That's why I thought like Seth Rollins right now is like the dorkiest, biggest WWE fanboy right now, so it makes sense he'd like back Hogan right now, and he'd be geeked to be on Team Hogan. So he was like the perfect choice to be for Team Hogan, to be honest. And then Roman Roman, like I get like a kind of vibe like he doesn't fit like the whole Hogan vibe. He's kind of like if it was Team Rock or if it was Team Austin, I feel like Roman would be like a top choice. But like I don't know, like I felt like Seth fit a little bit better, and obviously the brand split doesn't really help. They really shouldn't be doing these kind of like cross brand shows like on Crown Jewel and try to like book them.
I know so quickly too after the brand split unified, but they're leaving the door open for those for drafts later on down the road. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they had to figure out, hey, listen, Saudi Arabia wants us to get some of our legends on the show. Who do we got that's available to work? Hogan's available, Flair's to work. Okay, well, obviously we can't have these guys wrestle. How do we use them? And it kind of writes itself. Yeah. It's just the match happening as a victim of circumstance, I think, in my books.
Yeah,
you got legends who's showing up who can't wrestle. You're also very close to Survivor Series, so you can make that feel for it. Bam, you got this brand versus brand early, or whatever, team versus team. It's hot garbage though. It's such. I could sit here and justify it all day and explain why it makes sense. It's not going to make you want to watch it anymore. No. So whatever. What I do want to watch. Oh, okay. I was gonna say what I do want to watch is the OC and Umberto Carillo tear it down, because that's what we got teased up next, man. Carillo backstage. AJ comes out, says he's impressed, man. What a splash to make as a rookie, taking on the world champ. But he says if you wanted to make a big splash by taking on a top champ, you took on the wrong one. How about you and me go later? And I was like, yes, more of this. More Carillo.
Not gonna lie.
Go ahead.
Not gonna lie, man. I was geeked because I'm very high on Umberto. For those of you that don't know, he was in NXT for maybe like a cup of tea, and then got hot shotted to the 205 Live roster, and he looked like he was in line to be the next cruiserweight champion. But then he got hot shotted to the main roster on Raw, and first match, coming out looking like the Black Power Ranger, taking on Seth Rollins. This week, he comes out with a really nice shirt that I'm probably going to hit WWE shop and get. Yeah. And he's taking on AJ Styles, two of the top best in-ring technicians in all of WWE. And at the end, without jumping too far ahead, but in the end, they were both great highlight spots for Umberto to signify that he can hang with the top guys in this company.
It's a heck of a start, man. It is a heck of a start. It's not by mistake. Not by mistake he got those matches.
No, I think Paul Heyman's a big Umberto guy, because you can kind of tell he's kind of had his fingerprints on certain wrestlers being highlighted more, like guys like Buddy Murphy that wasn't getting shine, guys like Andrade being talked up like he can be a title guy. Even guys like Aleister Black, even though he's still today didn't wrestle, it was still one of those things where he's still doing more than what he was doing on SmackDown. So I feel like it's a Paul Heyman thing, because even back in the CCW days, he's the reason Rey Mysterio, Super Crazy, Psychosis, Eddie Guerrero, all those luchadors were introduced to the States. It was because of Paul.
Yeah, well, you also have this factor too. If you look across the pond and you see AEW, AEW is trying to create stars out of these really young 20-something-year-olds, and if you think about it, when you look at what a young WWE superstar is, you're talking a guy in his early 30s, because typically nowadays, even they cut their teeth in the indies and they come up through NXT for a couple of years, and before you know it, they're a big deal, but they're at the youngest typically 28 to 32. Yeah. And so there is, if you look at the main roster, there's a huge gap of guys younger than say 25 years old. And if you see your competition is developing a roster with these young guys coming in, and not to mention adding a different feel to the show, a different look aesthetically, and then also future-proofing and potentially hopping on, making the stars of tomorrow right on the main brand. It would be wise of WWE to go ahead and get a couple of your young talents. I want to say Umberto just ticked all the right boxes, and I believe that's one of the boxes. They saw, hey, who do we got that's really talented but really young? And I think Umberto was just the right guy at the right place in the right time.
Yeah, I think he's great. I think the sky's the limit for the guy. Obviously, the one thing holding him back would be his promo ability, but man, even top guys like Andrade, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like if you look like AOP and Kabuki Warriors, if you let him like cut a promo in Spanish, he can. Like I've seen a couple of his interviews, he's really good in Spanish. And if you let Cain Velasquez talk in Spanish, you can let Umberto too. It's one of those things where he's gonna get over with his athleticism, his in-ring work, his style of like wrestling. He's gonna get over that way, kind of like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero initially did back when they started.
Well, also you're gonna have someone with a young face for younger crowds to identify with. You know, us guys being in our late 20s, late 30s, you know, we see a baby like whatever, but when you see kids, kids only have like to look up to like much older guys, but once they can make that gap, like someone closer to their age just being really young, there's that appeal too, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Umberto keep his momentum for a couple months, let this ride where he gets over with the kids in a way that Bayley was intended to on the main roster. Just an idea, just like I said, just on his look alone. But
and one thing you were saying about people WWE looking into like the people they have who are their young talent and try to like future proof themselves. Like the last time I've seen them do something like that was like in the Ruthless Aggression era in the early 2000s when they did that with John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar, even guys like they were around for a while, like in the tag team, like
they were in their young 20s.
They were young. They were being future.
Brock Lesnar's the youngest ever champion.
Exactly.
Yep.
So when's the last time that you can sit here and said that they built their own stars?
Yeah.
Like I think like John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar was the last group of people that were arguably built inside WWE, and they were built from the ground up.
It's still, the jury's still out, but Velveteen Dream is probably the next one.
Oh, he's the next guy. He's the next guy. I see future champion written all over the guy, and I knew it from the minute I saw him in Tough Enough, and without going into NXT territory. Yeah, he's the guy that I could see as a future NXT champ, future Universal champ, WWE champ. This guy's the limit for the guy, and he's only like, what, 23? 20?
God, he's young, man. He's really young.
Here's the thing. He looks more of a man than me, and he's younger than me. That's what bothers me. It's like he looks more like a chiseled, mature man than I do. I still look like I don't know. I still look like I haven't like fully like matured properly, like physically. I haven't hit my physical peak yet, and this guy looks like a chiseled like Adonis. Man, he's
a good looking fella, man. And kind of like that Randy Orton look. Like you said, he looks mature, young, so you won't notice time pass with him as much as long as he takes care of himself. You know, like Randy Orton. If you look at granted, when you take Randy Orton's rookie photo and compare it to him now, you can obviously see a difference. But there is like a 10-year gap where it looks like Randy didn't age a day, you know?
Sure.
And it's because he didn't look too much like a baby when he came in. Where Umberto Carrillo, he's kind of got that baby look on him a little bit still. But you never know, man. I never know.
No, I totally get it.
Next up, man, two guys who really didn't know what they were getting themselves into, Rizzo and Brian, the Chicago Cubs. What are your boys doing over here in St. Louis, man?
So, two things. One, I'm not too big in terms of like knowledgeable in terms of baseball. Do like the Cubs and like St. Louis, like Chicago and St. Louis, do they have some kind of beef we don't know?
Because it feels like they finally. Was it you I was talking with the other week that says, you know how like they use people's sport teams to get cheap heel heat? Why don't they do it in reverse? And I feel like literally it's only been a week, and I feel like that's what they did. They took,
I don't think we had that convo.
Oh, okay, it must have been with Sebastian then, but
right.
But yeah, because it really does seem like what strikes me is they're doing that whole sports team angle, but in reverse. So now they have faces coming out squashing a rival sports team to get the pop from the crowd. Because that's the only thing that made sense. Because they got booed really loud when they said Chicago Cubs.
And here's the thing. Okay, number 2. I'm not a baseball guy, but if I had to pick a team, I'd be a White Sox guy. So
be a White Sox.
I'd be a White Sox guy. So like growing up, like I was like getting into baseball when they were good and they won the World Series in '05. So I kind of stuck with it. And I don't hate the Cubs, but I'm one of those Chicagoans where like I don't care enough to pick a side. I just want Chicago to win stuff. As long as Chicago wins, I don't care. I just like.
That's kind of how I wound up with my sports team. Like as a kid, I was never large into sports, but I always just rooted for. I was like, well, who represents where I live? And that was, all the Boston teams, like the Patriots, Sox, and Bruins. So that's how I wound up being a fan. But now I fast forward, and anytime someone's like, "Oh, who do you watch football?" Like I have to give you my backstory why I like the Patriots in North Carolina, because everyone's like, "Oh, you bandwagoner." They're like, "You just like Brady," and I'm like, "Dang it, no."
No, I totally get where you're coming from.
Let me tell you my life story now.
Come, sit with me. I'm about to tell you a tale.
This is how I wound up here.
No, I totally get it, because like when it comes to sports, obviously I love the Bulls. I'm being from Chicago, they're my main team, but I'm also a big Sacramento Kings guy. I love the Miami Heat, and like any other like small like market team, I'm a fan of. Like so like. I'm just a fan of like good stuff in general, but this squash match wasn't good at all. I thought we were past that. I thought we were past Viking Raiders going and beating up jobbers.
Well, it's you can't have. We're going into the prestigious, largest tag team turmoil match to determine the World Cup for the best tag team in the world match. So you can't really develop many stories before you get this match underway. So that's why it's there. We've already talked about the match longer than it actually took place for. So let's move on to one of the better matches. Sin Cara with Catalina. Dude, I saw the meme online, the Step Brothers meme, like the effing Catalina wine mixer, man.
I actually didn't see that. So I was getting more like Latino references. So like there's like this like Dominican like bachata group that and there's like a male and a guy, so it's like they were saying like, oh, Sin Cara was doing his best Monchi and Alexandra impression. It was like, it's one of those things where like if you're Latino or you're listening to Spanish stuff, you're gonna get. And then it was just mostly that I was getting. But man, like Twitter was going off. My Twitter feed was going off for Catalina, and I'm over here like, wait, what's going on? We
got a debut. So do we know who she is?
So I don't know much about her. All I know is that I guess she's been an indie wrestler. I think even like Benji was able to like speak to her before she went to NXT. She got signed to NXT. Benji, like he said, had a whole conversation about her debut in NXT, and she just completely bypassed NXT and went straight to main roster, which I think it's great. I think a lot of these wrestlers don't need to go straight to NXT and can go straight to main roster. Like perfect example, like even guys like Adam Cole, like Velveteen Dream, these guys are ready. Guys like Keith Lee, like you can make the argument that Samoa Joe didn't need to go to NXT. Shinsuke didn't need to go to NXT.
Well, I've been saying that Keith Lee can go straight into a Universal Championship or WWE Championship match as is right now, and he will just build. Like I already know people would gravitate to him.
He's one of the best guys on NXT and
on the planet, if you ask me.
So, like I said, I think that was kind of cool. I think they should do more of that. There's so much talent, and obviously NXT right now has so many people to work with at the moment. They only have so much time, and right now Raw and SmackDown both need people to like go ahead and like fill up that roster. Like we were struggling to figure out tag teams on Raw. Yeah, like after like the main couple tag teams.
Dijakovic. If you're not going to put Keith Lee in a title picture right away, put him in a tag team with Dijakovic.
Did you
or whatever.
see that they teased that online?
I did not. I mean, I saw someone else asking for it, so I'm kind of piggybacking off someone else's request.
So it was like Keith Lee basically saying that he's coming for Undisputed Era. You know, they gonna get got basically, right. And then and Dijakovic quote tweeted said, "I want in," or he wants a piece of them too. So it could be one of those things where. It could be a Bar Cesaro and Sheamus thing where they just tear it up so much that they just decide.
They obviously have chemistry. Like they obviously have some of the coolest chemistry. It's what worries me is as big as they are, they're not youngest either. At least I don't know about Dijakovic. I know Keith Lee is probably in his young mid-30s. Is don't wait forever to pull the trigger on Raw or SmackDown with these guys. Get them in front of a world audience. And let them have their feud there. Let their story be told that they had the feud on the Indies, the feud in NXT, and then finally a feud that led all the way to WrestleMania. And that would be so cool. And you saw it works. They did the same thing with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Their feuds just transcended every wrestling promotion all the way up onto the main roster. And do the same with those guys. But let's get back to Sin Cara before we totally just hijack his spotlight that he rightfully deserves. He's having a rematch with Andrade. This rematch I didn't have a problem with because, like I said, it was a cheap finish in the last one. And, and then you also brought Catalina in as the enforcer to fend off Zelina Vega. And so the match totally made sense to me. And Catalina does end up fending off Zelina, tosses her into the barricade. The match was really, really good, but it did end up with Andrade getting the win via his feet on the ropes. So this tells me we got a mixed tag match coming.
Which I'm glad. Like I said, we don't get too many Latinas on Raw or SmackDown or even NXT, so it was a nice change of pace. I legit I would always think a luchador, like a masked female wrestler, is really cool because I saw that in the Mae Young Classic. I thought that was really cool to see that last night on Raw. Like you said, the whole point of having Catalina come out was to be the distraction to negate Zelina Vega. In the end, it didn't work out. This feud is obviously continuing. I'm all for it.
Yep, keep it going, man. Keep Sin Cara on TV, man.
Yeah, I drafted him in my draft for a reason.
Like I said, who would have thought, man? 2019, and we'd be excited for a Sin Cara feud. No offense to him, man. I'm glad we got it.
I saw it. I saw it in the cards.
the next thing I was not ready for, and maybe someone needs to fill me in on, is why we got Nattie and Charlotte taking on the Iconics.
Zero explanation.
And then why are they beating the Iconics, man? They mentioned Charlotte and Nattie have never teamed before, virtually no chemistry against the Iconics, who I think have been teaming together since fresh out of high school, maybe even in high school. They've been
they knew each other in high school. They trained together in NXT. They were even when they were being slowly introduced to NXT as jobbers or enhancement talent. They were a team a lot of times. They were tag teams. So they have chemistry. They were the longest reigning women's tag team champions, regardless of if they're not the best wrestlers or if you don't like them. They have that reputation. So literally all it was, and I'm telling you right now, it's literally early 2000s where WWE is just pairing up two random people that somehow have something in common and they become a tag team. RVD and Rey Mysterio was a tag team. RVD Booker T was a tag team. They paired up Booker T and Eddie Guerrero at one point for whatever reason. So and they paired up Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It's literally they're trying to make an emphasis on the women's tag team division. They're trying to get as many tag teams as they can. It's literally was a match to emphasize that Charlotte and Nattie work well together. They both are second generations. They're both have that lineage and they have some connection together. We're gonna make them into a tag team. I think that's literally all it was. Iconics, I thought, put on a really good show. A lot of good tag team wrestling.
Charlotte's one of your main players. You just have to have an excuse to get her on TV. No offense to Charlotte, no offense to her, but it's if you don't have a meaningful story, we can take a week to miss you, you know. But yeah, I knew it. I knew when the Iconics were coming out there. I'm there's not a chance in hell Iconics are about to get one over on Nattie, who is just getting a big push, and then of course Charlotte as well. It's exactly, dude. When you saw the matchup, you could pretty much play it out in your head how it was gonna go. The Iconics worked heel for a bit. But still fell short. Nattie was able to tap Billie Kay while Charlotte hit Peyton with a spear. And that was the match. Following it, we did get an interview with Seth Rollins, who was extra worked up tonight. I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do to hype up your match.
Right.
But he's worked up. He's got his Falls Count Anywhere match with Rowan. But then, of course, he just uses the platform to hype up his match with Bray Wyatt at Crown Jewel. Stuff that we've heard. And then we were given the Falls Count Anywhere match, and it was good. It was decent. It wasn't our main event, which at this point I kind of wish it had been, given what we got in exchange.
Right.
But this was just your by the books Falls Count Anywhere. Seth was getting a little edgy, man. They spilled into the crowd, spilled into the concession area. They tore apart a merch stand. Seth went through a table. We got teased that Seth was going to get claw slammed through the announce table. Ultimately, though, he did get the win after giving a curb stomp to Rowan on a ladder. And then we got the same finish. If you've ever seen the Mankind and versus The Rock in the empty arena match, we got the same finish. Seth pinned Eric Rowan with a forklift, essentially attempting manslaughter, even though it wasn't even him driving it. Could you imagine being that guy? Just like, who knows how to operate this forklift? You do? Kill this guy.
Like, could you imagine? No, okay. So, like you were saying, like, it was a fun match. For me, it kind of was like telegraphed that Seth was obviously going to win. And I think they legit only had this match to like build up Seth. Like, oh, see, he can take on the Fiend. He's taking on a monster in Eric Rowan. He can take on the
former
Fiend.
Wyatt member who has a tie. Yeah, poor Rowan.
The cynical side of me wants to believe that they only drafted Eric Rowan to Raw just for the purpose to have this match. And we'll have nothing for him going forward.
Oh, God, you're probably right. I hate to say it, but you're probably right. Or he's going to pop up in another tag team, and then he's going to just be like, he's going to contemplate his life choices.
I mean, they just paired him up with Luke Harper, and then like a week later, they decided to split that whole thing.
I think Luke Harper spoke out even after they got him back on TV and went on another Twitter tirade. They probably pulled the plug if they weren't planning on pulling it already.
We'll see what happens with that.
It is what it is. I am kind of bummed, though, they didn't have the forklift camera like they did to The Rock, where they had the camera descending onto The Rock while he was screaming. They should have done the same thing. But
I think they were just trying to like shy away from the comical side of the whole angle.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be Seth getting all edgy and going to a new level. We did get a couple little short segments here. Lashley offers to accompany. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
No, you good. We can just cut that.
We'll edit that out. Lashley offers to accompany Lana later in the divorce court, which, Jesus, I want to spend as little time on that as possible. And then we got an Aleister Black backstage promo, him defining madness, because he's doing the same thing over and over again and not getting a result. And then lastly, the last little thing was a recap of the Brock beatdown. But then we were gifted, and I seriously mean gifted, an incredible match. Umberto Carrillo taking on AJ Styles. I grabbed the wrong still. I got Umberto Carrillo celebrating with Street Profits, but you'll still get the point by the end of this. It'll all come back together.
Gotcha. No, but like you said, it was set up earlier in the night. AJ Styles versus Umberto. I like that they're putting him up with the two top champions on Raw, two of the top best wrestlers in ring wise in all of WWE, and they're highlighting Umberto. He's held his own. Last week on Raw, like he had a handshake from Seth. He earned Seth's respect, and even in his own kind of way, in like the heelish kind of way, he kind of earned AJ's respect tonight too. Last night too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this match was different than the one with Seth because this one, Umberto, I think, won most of the match. Like, he got the majority of the offense. He was taking it to AJ the whole time. And it didn't seem like this time like too rookie of a mistake that AJ got up on him. Is he went for a springboard something. And one of the coolest counters I've ever seen, AJ kind of just shoulder blocks him like in midair, kind of like if you ever seen the Mighty Ducks when the dude got tossed through the glass. That's kind of what happened to Umberto. And Umberto ended up landing funny on his leg. AJ jumped on it, calf crusher, tapped him out. But yeah, like you said, Umberto's earning a lot of respect from a lot of people. He's opening a lot of eyes. AJ went for the handshake, but Psych slapped him. Umberto gave it back to him. Got a Styles clash for his trouble. little bit of a beat down. Street Profits come out, save the day, because I guess they still got stuff, lingering with the OC. So yeah, good things. Who's Umberto's next opponent?
I think he's gonna win that battle royal and have a title shot against AJ on Thursday. I think that's the program for now.
Because it can't be Kevin. So
I think because they're gonna have that title. So I think that's in the immediate future. That's what's for Umberto. After that, I don't Andrade. Hopefully, once he's done with Sin Cara.
The first person that came to mind was Buddy Murphy. To get another slam bang match, but then give Umberto the win instead of losing to
but I want them to build up Buddy Murphy too. So
unfortunately, someone's got to lose, man. Unfortunately, that's the hard part.
Maybe he gets challenged by I don't know, like a Sheldon Benjamin, someone that's a good wrestler, and he puts Umberto over.
That'd be good. That'd be a good one because Benjamin can go. Someone else that can go is everybody involved in this segment, and they can go away.
Beautiful segue, by the way. I love that.
Sad Rusev for the YouTube viewers here. Man, trust me. Listen. There is cringy that is funny, and then there's cringy that is difficult to watch. And if you've been online, it's summarized because you can hear the guy in the closing shot screaming. This is weird.
As the show is about to go to the end credit, going dark, you have the end credits on the bottom.
Yep.
The guy's this is weird.
Perfectly encapsulated the whole segment, the whole feud. It is weird, man. Jerry Lawler's out doing King's Court, but instead this time it is Divorce Court. Should Lana and Rusev get a divorce? That's a perfect dispute to have on a live microphone in the middle of a wrestling ring. You can see us get uncomfortable, touching ourselves, just trying to process this.
Just trying to get through the whole segment.
Oh man. Okay, so let's run it down. Lana gives her side of the story. Rusev's a sex addict. Okay. He wants children. Lana wants to be a model. No one would hire Lana, apparently, if she had a child. And then, of course, the final nail in the coffin, just as a throwaway line, Rusev cheated on me as well. Rusev,
Bobby Lashley told her. So that's
Bobby Lashley said it. Some fourth grade stuff. Rusev obviously says he did not do it. I did like the whole he said Lashley's talking some SH stuff, and that got the crowd that was good. Yeah,
that was the best.
They did the whole audio mute when he said it.
They also too Rusev made it last week. It was I think saying that he kept his wedding band on because he still hopes that he'll have that happily ever after with Lana. But then this week he decides, is this what you want? Takes off the wedding band and he tries to shove it in Bobby Lashley's mouth, which is something.
Yeah, so Lashley comes out. They get in a brawl. Rusev beats him down. Rusev looks terrifying, by the way, in a button-up shirt when he's pissed off. Something about that that strikes a man who does not give an F anymore.
And I kind of wish they kind of stuck with him because when he returned against Mike Kanellis, that's kind of what they booked him and had him portrayed as. It's this ruthless guy that just gives no Fs.
Yeah,
so it was a whole thing. I legit don't know what the payoff is to this. It legit feels...
Yeah. So exactly, it ends with Rusev finally takes his ring off after he's got Lashley beat down. The crowd reacts very well to this. By the way, the crowd was given the segment all that they could. And they obviously were turned on by the Rusev moments, Rusev dropping the SH bomb, beating up the Lashley. The crowd responds very well to this. They do not, however, respond well to when Rusev gets low blowed and then the show goes off the air with Lashley and Lana making out. That's not really, you need... Because that's
standing over Rusev too.
Yeah, that's not going to garnish boos we dislike these people anymore. It's boos that we dislike this situation, which is not, and if you don't like the situation, you don't want to watch the story play out. I wouldn't mind it. Had it gone off the air, Rusev beat down Lashley and then said "screw you, Lana," and you left out all the nasty make out stuff, I would still.
I think that would have like made the segment feel a little bit better. But I think like they just like dropped a giant turd on the entire segment with like that.
It was hosted by Jerry the King Lawler. That's. We really have, we're in 2019 and we still have major story role angles being mediated by Jerry the King Lawler. Like,
and the whole concept of the whole motivation, because look, initially when both you and I were like praising this, saying that we enjoyed it because it was so cringe, it was so bad, it was funny. But that was before like the motivation was like Lana just like, oh, Rusev wouldn't like buy me stuff and Rusev wouldn't take me to places and wouldn't make me happy. That was the initial crux of it. And then they changed it.
They change it as they go.
They changed like Lana changed her like motivation like 3 times during the segment. So it was that. The one good thing that came out of it was that meme where like Rusev is beating on Lashley and then Lana's hitting him with the candlestick. And
yes, that was so good. He didn't even notice it, man.
And I don't know if you saw, someone turned it into a meme, and it was like Bobby Lashley was like NXT, AEW was Rusev, and then like Ring of Honor was Lana, and so it was like NXT and AEW going to war with each other, and then Ring of Honor is trying to like hit AEW.
Oh yeah,
but no, that was like the best part that came out of that segment was that meme.
Oh man.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
That was Raw. Yeah, like I said, Raw went off the air. The very last shot of Raw, besides Lashley and Lana making out, is you can hear a fan very audibly screaming, "This is weird," and it's timed so perfect because right when he punctuates "weird," Raw just cuts off and you go on to the next program. And that was our week's show. Like I said, there was so much good stuff in there, but unfortunately, no one's gonna remember anything other than Lana and Lashley making out on top of Rusev, and that's a damn shame, man, because. Carillo got a lot of shine. Sin Cara got a lot of shine. Catalina debuted on the main roster. No one's talking about that. Raw got a brand new debut of a new wrestler, you know.
And on top of that, the first half hour was dedicated to the Kabuki Warriors and that women's division.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. Like, legit, like my favorite match of the entire night was the Kabuki Warriors. It was the Kabuki Warriors segment, and my favorite match was Kyrie Sane versus Becky Lynch. I thought they both had great chemistry. I thought there was a lot of character development. In a lot of like the show. It was sprinkled around, but you had to like bury through a lot of bad to get to some of the good.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was that's like I said, we had all that stuff happen and people aren't going to be able to talk about really anything else other than Lana and Rusev and Lashley, and that sucks. But it is what it is. We'll see next week on Raw. I'm excited to see Raw and SmackDown without that doesn't hype up Crown Jewel. That we'll have another Saudi show behind us and not taking just being like a dark cloud lingering over these shows. We can just get it out of the way.
One thing that's holding it back is that a couple people obviously are protesting it, but like the women aren't allowed to be on the show. And I don't know if you noticed, like last week they weren't on the show, and this week. So here's the thing: you're slowly you're kind of like putting pause on the women's division as a whole. Like obviously SmackDown has to capitalize on the Bayley heel turn, but you haven't seen too much diversity in terms of like the women's division. And I guess like this week they did it. They might do it on Friday because obviously Contra will be done and over with. But it's like, since there's no evolution, there's no women's pay-per-view. There's nothing that they can build towards, and that's why they had the Rusev Angle main event Raw. They had no other. That's, as much as we're shitting on it, that's legit the only like storyline.
They should have opened the show with that, or maybe saved it for like closing the first hour. They should have used it to get it out of the way, not to make it your go home angle and shot and stuff. Because it's so
as much
weird.
As I'm not like a big Seth guy right now, I think the Seth Street fight probably should have like ended the show. That's probably the way I would have done this. I would have done like the King's Court, then you have the AJ match, then you have the main event.
Yeah,
or somewhere where like.
Yeah, because I mean, as much as I'd like to see Umberto and AJ close a show, from a story standpoint, Seth and Rowan would have made the most point. It would have driven home he's got the Fiend match.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. that's our show.
Ron,
with minimum interruptions this morning. Once again, look forward to our shows Thursday when we do NXT, and yeah, you'll be doing NXT, I believe, with Benji. I'll be doing AEW with, typically we got Rob and Sebastian over there. We might get Kevin there. I think he's having some internet issues. But
recently I've had my friend Jay's local competitor, local indie wrestler here in Chicago. He's a great guy. He adds a lot to the show, and he's gonna be on the show. Like, I try to bring him on as much as I can whenever he's not busy.
Look,
obviously.
Listen, man, I left him out because that's obviously going to drive all the viewers to NXT. You're actually getting a real wrestler on our podcast over on NXT. Why listen to a bunch of dads talk about AEW?
Hey, man. Hey.
But,
I got my connections. What could I say?
But tune in later, you guys. Until then, y'all have a good one.
I'll see you guys.
Bye.